We will call the meeting of the Governing Board of the Lammersville Unified School District to order at 7 o'clock p.m. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. At this time, please take a moment to silence or turn off your cell phones. For those of you who would like to address the board about a specific agenda item during public comment, please fill out a blue comment card so we know when to call upon you. And we have students here from Lammersville Elementary School along with Principal Duran, and so we'd like to invite those who are leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance to come forward.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, salute, pledge. Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I think we have a presentation from Lammersville as well.
All right, good evening, Dr. Nicholas Board. Thank you for having us this evening. As you can see, I got quite the crew with me. These are quite a few students from our ASB, and these kiddos have definitely been helping in making a positive experience at Lammersville and very memorable for all of our Lions. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to them.
Good evening, board members. We are from Lammersville Elementary School, and we are excited to share with you some of the amazing things we have already done this year and that we are going to do.
This year, our parade float was Narnia. While many of us had not seen the movie before, we were excited to plan a snow-themed float. We had several helping hands, including some of our amazing staff members, parents, and CJSF members. We came together to create fun outfits to match the characters in the movie, and of course, Leo got to be King Aslan. We even had a snow machine. We came second in the district-wide.
This year, our ASB class wanted to make Kindness Week a bigger deal, so it has become a month-long celebration. Last week, we started our school-wide campaign of painting kindness rocks to be placed in our brand new kindness garden outside of Mrs. Mavis's room. Our CGSF students are working on creating the garden as part of their school community project. We will share the pictures with you once we finish. Every year, we enjoy having fun dress-up days to celebrate certain events. Currently, we are completing our Kindness Week dress-up days, but we have already had a lot of fun dress-up days, including Say Boo to Drugs, where we dress up like ghosts. We have weekly Spirit Days on Fridays where we show our Lammersville pride.
Another fun tradition at our school are the grams we sell a few times this year. We already sold our Halloween and winter grams this year, but our friendship grams are always the most popular. We sold chocolate roses, teddy bears, mystery bags, Play-Dohs, and keychains this year. We made an amazing $500 on grams this year.
Good evening. This year, our ASB class was able to attend 2 very fun and high-energy leadership days. This first event was the first ever Great America Leadership Day in November. We listened to a very inspirational speaker who reminded us what it means to become a great leader. Then we, of course, got to go ride rides and eat yummy food. And then later that month, we attended the annual Leadership Day at Mountain House High School. Here we played rally games, showed our school spirit, and had lots of fun.
This year, our 6th grade students attended camp a little earlier in the year. This is our big field trip for our 6th grade students, and it is always a great time. We were able to do fun activities like hiking, learning about nature, and hanging out with our camp counselors and friends.
Just a few weeks ago, we started our annual tradition of Kinder 8th grade buddies. We had been looking forward to this all year. We meet our buddies every Friday after lunch and get to hang out with them. Sometimes we read with them, help them write paragraphs, and of course go outside to play with them. We love being able to be great role models for our buddies and build friendships that will last a lifetime.
We have a few more amazing events left this year. We do a monthly Munchies fundraiser to help benefit our various groups on campus, including 6th grade, 8th grade, CJSF, and ASB. This is our school's favorite fundraiser. Next week we start an annual CJSF fundraiser with Double Good popcorn. The popcorn is delicious and we highly recommend purchasing some.
We have our annual school play coming up on March 21st at 6 p.m. This year we are doing a mixed up fairy tales and are excited for this fun comedy. We'd like to invite you to attend and laugh along with us that night. On April 6th, we have our annual auction dinner dance. The theme is The Great Gatsby, and we will have a fun night. And lastly, we have our spring dance on May 3rd for our K through 8 grade students. The theme is yet to be determined, but it will be an exciting time with fun stations and games. Thank you much for your time.
Thank you very much. And Principal Duran, might I just add that very impressive that your students were here so early and ready to go, anxious, very prompt. It's a trait that, I admire greatly.
I do have one question. On the back of the leadership shirts where it says Lions, I couldn't read what the N stood for. Neighborly. Thank you.
One of you guys mentioned the 8th grade buddies, and that was always something I thought was very neat at Lammersville. In fact, my kids very much enjoyed it. My son, who is almost as old as I am now for some reason, weird, he remembers the 8th grader who was his buddy when he was in kindergarten. In fact, they ran into one another at the Lammersville dinner auction last year. I think they enjoyed seeing one another. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you. Item 2, roll call.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Benita Daniel.
Absent.
Stephanie Olson.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Devika Vitulani.
Here.
And just for the record, Trustee Daniel reached out to me and asked me to make the public aware that she could not attend because she is feeling well, and we hope she gets better soon.
Madam President, did you want to let these fine young students have an
yes.
opportunity to step on with their evening?
Yes, my apologies. You were so great in your presentation that I got distracted. But yes, if you want to stay for this wonderful meeting, then you're more than welcome to join us for the rest of the evening. But I'm sure you have some other homework and other things to do, so this would be a great time to.
If you stay, you'll likely find it riveting.
Item 3, approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Based on a motion by Trustee Clements and seconded by Trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Moving on to item 4, presentation from our demographer on draft trustee area maps and public hearing to gather input regarding draft trustee area maps. Staff report?
Yeah, I'd like to introduce our Dr. Doug Johnson, who is our demographer, who will be presenting this night's presentation.
Good evening. It's good to be back with you. I will jump right in here. Much of what I'll start out here with is a review for those who have been at each of these meetings, but I do want to cover this for folks that are seeing this for the first time. We are getting close to the end of this process. Which started back in January with some initial informational hearings. Then we released some draft maps, and you held a hearing on February 7th where we went through those. There was public comment and requests, and then we have 2 new maps actually that weren't shown February 7th, but they have been posted on the website for a week. Then last night we had a community forum, a much more informal sit down where we had 4 members of the public come and got to talk about the maps and answer questions and show them, so that was very useful. And then this is your 4th of the 4 kind of discussion hearings tonight, where the public again will have the chance to weigh in on the maps. tonight, the board can kind of give an informal direction on which map you prefer, or you can leave that for the final meeting in March 6th when the map will actually be adopted. But this is really, because the maps have to be posted 7 days in advance, this is really the last chance for folks to weigh in and propose changes, or for the board to weigh in and propose any changes you might want to see in the maps. So with that, I'll jump in. Those that have been at every hearing can probably recite this at this point, but just a quick swing through. In terms of the rules for drawing the maps, we have federal laws, which are equal population, and that is equal number of people. It's not equal number of registered voters or anything like that. It's human beings counted in the census. And compliance with the Federal Voting Rights Act and avoiding racial gerrymandering. For California, we have a second set of criteria now. These all just came in January 1st. So these are all new for those that may have followed this process in other places. In prioritized order, the district has to be contiguous. We have to minimize the division of neighborhoods and communities of interest. We have to respect and minimize divisions of cities and census designated places. Mountain House is a CDP, which is kind of an informal community. In a couple of weeks, it may move to become a city. We'll see how the vote goes. But either way, it's minimizing division of it is one of the criteria. Then, again, these are in priority order. The next one is following easily identifiable boundaries, rivers, big major roads, things like that. And then the last requirement is to try to be compact. You don't bypass one group of people to get to another group of people. There's also a prohibition in state law. We cannot draw the lines for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against an incumbent political candidate or a party. All these maps have been drawn by NDC, and I don't know where you live. So we play it nice and safe on those fronts. And then if you get through all those requirements and have two maps that are essentially equal on all those requirements, then you can choose between those two maps based on what the courts call traditional redistricting principles. And that's where a future population growth is an option to use for a decision point. It's not a requirement, but it is something you can consider if you get to that point. So this is a new map I wanted to put together just so folks can refer to it. It kind of illustrates the challenge here. You can see at the top the total population of the district, then the ideal population of 5,237. That's our target population for each trustee area. We have to be within a couple percent either way of that. And one of the things you see is that there are a couple of communities that are big, but even they are not a full trustee area. So Cuesta is 80.5% of a trustee area. Altamont is 64%. Bethany as a whole is 90%, which means that they're close to being a whole trustee area, but not enough. So everything's going to involve trying to keep as many neighborhoods together as we can, but then getting population to fill in those trustee areas because population equality is number one. So that's kind of illustrates the challenge and gives people a handy little reference for how many people there are according to the census. I will remind folks, the courts say we use the census and state law say we use the census data. Keep in mind this is almost 4 years ago now, and in a place growing as fast as this is, it's a little bit of an artificial number, but that is the number that we have to aim for. So we have five draft maps that were shown at the last hearing. Green, olive, orange, violet, and yellow. You see them here. They varied. I won't spend a lot of time on these because I do have the two new maps on the next slide. They varied in terms of how the kind of out of Mountain House areas were treated. Were they all put in one seat? Were they divided into 2 or 3 or even 4 seats? And then, of course, within Mountain House, the lines move around in each of these maps, and you see that the outer area ties into different parts of Mountain House in different maps. The feedback out of this was the public comments and the board direction were, let's try to get, number one, the area north of Cuesta in with Cuesta, since as it gets developed, that'll likely be the area that it connects most to in terms of neighborhoods. And then to get the rest of the rural area all into one trustee area, so they'd all given the shared interest and really community of interest definition that comes out of being rural next to what will be a heavily urbanized area. They wanted to have one voice for that area. So those directions led to some small changes in orange. So you can see The area in the north is now added to Cuesta in orange B. That has a little bit of ripple effect through the other seats, but not much. So you've got 4 is Cuesta in the area north of it. It comes down a little bit into Altamont, and most of Bethany, well, all of Bethany north of the river and a little bit across the river are in 5. Then you go over to the east and get 3. 2 is shown in the blue, and then all the rural areas are together with the southern part of Mountain House in 1. So it's just small changes to the orange map made in orange B. Then the line map is a little bit different. Instead of the rural areas coming in the south, the rural areas in this map come into Cuesta. So that's why the north area stays with the rural areas in this, because Cuesta, the north area, and the rural areas are all in 1. And that moves 2 down to the south. And you can see the big change here is Bethany then ends up together, all in 5, and you get kind of that L-shaped 4. And again, keeping the neighborhoods together is a higher priority than compactness. So that's how you get the L shape in 4. In each of these maps, you get an area that's divided 3 ways. And then we have a couple of other small divisions to neighborhoods simply because of population balancing. It's a little hard to see individual streets on there, but I do have the interactive map on my tablet. So if you want to know exactly what roads are here and there and are being used as boundaries, I can tell you that just by checking on my tablet. And anyone in the audience can check online as well. We also have these maps to show both the map you just saw of the detail and then the larger area. You can see orange B, really everything's together, and then comes in the south of Mountain House, and then the north of is with Byron. I'm sorry, the north is with Cuesta, and then Lime. You get the whole thing is all in 1 in the rural area in the north, because the neighborhood that makes up the rest of 1 is Cuesta. Election sequencing is the other piece that comes into this. This is saying which seats will be up which years. By law, this follows the current process, which is you have 3 seats that are scheduled to be up in 2024. So there will be 3 seats up in 2024, 2 in 2026. The green, orange, olive, violet, and yellow we showed last time. I won't go back through those. The line map and the orange B map both end up with the same pattern, which is 1, 2, and 3 are up in 2024. 4 and 5 are up in 2026. This is really determined by the Ed Code, which actually says it's determined by where the trustees who are up in a given year are. So I mentioned I don't know where you live. The legal team, separate from me, is doing the review to see where the maps that I draw fall out, and then they provide this to me for the presentation. So that's our presentation. Obviously, there's a public hearing part of this, and then we welcome any feedback, direction the board wants to give. Again, the board's not making its final decision tonight, but if you're ready to, you can give direction, say bring back a resolution that includes map whatever. Otherwise, you bring back a resolution that is a blank and you decide at the next meeting. Thank you very much. And do you have any questions now, or I'm happy to answer anything after the...
Did any board members have questions for him right now?
I have a procedural question, and I apologize because both of you know more than I know about this process. I'm really hoping I retire without knowing as much as you about this process. But from a procedural perspective, my understanding was that the purpose of multiple hearings was in case somebody weren't able to go to one, they could go to another. So I just want to make sure that saying, I'm not going to go over those maps because we already went over them last time is not creating a problem for us as a board from a procedural perspective. So I'd like to make sure that we're not doing something wrong here.
Sure, Harold can weigh in too, but the first 2 hearings are that way, that before there's any maps drawn, we're really just giving the same informational presentation to give the public 2 chances to hear it. The idea of the second round of hearings is to let the public weigh in at the first one and then to see revisions driven by their comments at the second one.
Okay.
So you're right, that's how we approach phase 1, and then phase 2 is different.
I have a question, and this applies more to when a village is broken up. I think on some of the major roads, like there's a division on one of the maps that's Mustang. And we don't have any homes, as far as I know, no addresses on Mustang. But when you get into the villages and you start breaking them up, what side of the street, like if I live on one side of the street versus another, is that line dividing the street down the middle so people that live on one side will be in one area and the opposite? Does that make sense?
Excellent question. Yes. Yes. And so this is why the state has that try to use major roads goal, but the equal population criteria is above that. And so we do end up in that. And so you do end up with like Moraga Street being a boundary in some of the maps. And so, yes, you will end up with one side of the street is in one trustee area and the other's in the other. Where the line goes is down the center of the street in all cases.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions by the board?
I had one more. In the last board meeting, I asked the question that at the time, yellow was the only map that had a plurality for the Hispanic community. And admittedly, there was a 1% difference. They had a plurality by 1%. The question, and so I was hesitant to, personally, I was hesitant to select a different map because that was the only map that that showed a plurality. But my sense is that that's on the wane, and that even more recent, even though it's not part of this, the reality is that right now they probably don't have a plurality. If we could redo the census immediately, this data immediately, and I was wondering if you would speak to that for me.
Sure. Yeah, so the citizen voting age population data, which is your measure of eligible voters, actually doesn't come from the 2020 census. It comes from something called the American Community Survey, which is also done by the Census Bureau. But it's done over a rolling survey over 5 years.
Right.
So we talk about it, it gets updated every year, but it's dropping 6 years ago and adding last year. So each time it's 5 years and drops that. So the data we had was quite old, and as we talked about, the census data showed that Asian Americans in that seat outnumbered Latinos by like 42 to 27 or something like that. So the census was already hinting that those numbers were off because they were old. Not because they were wrong, they were just out of date. Actually, like a day or two before the last hearing, the Census Bureau released early the new citizen voting age population data. So I didn't have it at the last hearing. We have had a chance to just quickly go through and do a rough count. We'll get you the actual numbers for the website before your March 5th hearing. But it did confirm what we all suspected, which is just dropping that 1 year, 6 years ago, and adding the 2023 data did confirm that none of these maps have a Latino plurality seat, and there's no way to draw one anymore.
Thank you.
Any other questions by the board? None? Okay, thank you so much. We're going to open it up to public comments. And normally we read this statement right before agenda item 7, but if we're going to take public comments, I'm going to read this now and consider it read when we get to agenda item 7 as well. The entire board appreciates hearing from members of the community and public at large. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. Government Code Section 54954.3. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public also may bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. And I do have one speaker card from Mr. Scott Rafferty. I would invite you to come forward at this time.
Thank you. So due to a family emergency, I wasn't able to participate in last night's forum, but I did want to share some compliments and some concerns. I think there's definitely progress from the previous drafts and having greater respect for Mountain House and its neighborhoods, and I appreciate that. I think that a problem with Orange is that there's only one Asian majority trustee area. So I think Lyme starts out with a significant advantage. But what is, I think, important about Orange is the integrity of the Hanson area, which seems to be the lowest turnout and very high Asian population. And unfortunately in Lyme, which is a preferable map from the other standpoint of integrity of Mountain House, an exception to that is the way it treats Hanson, and particularly putting in what I think of as College Park, which is called Costa here, which actually does have a lot of post-census population. And I think that effectively overpopulates what I would see as the remedial district that you're really trying to empower by this map. So I also would qualify what Dr. Johnson said about the sequencing of elections. Section 10,010 of the Elections Code is subsequent to the Education Code, and I believe takes priority. I'm not sure there's a conflict yet. I have to look at this more carefully. 2 is definitely going in the presidential year. That's clear, but you should give special consideration to the low turnout minority district and make sure they're in the presidential year. And there are 2 of them in Lyme, and I think that is, with the exception of the way that Hanson and College Park are treated, I think that's really a much improved map over the way you were. Finally, Albany School District has gotten approval of ranked choice voting. I think that's actually pretty important because you're going to have a lot of candidates coming out for the first time, and ranked choice voting really allows a clear definition of what the candidate of choice is in each of these areas. So I think it's worth your consideration, and hopefully your registrar can accommodate it, and your county committee can look as favorably as the Alameda County Committee did on it. So I have reservations about going to districts, but people like them. It's going to be an economy. You're going to save half your election costs every cycle, and that's real money. Looks like maybe the city will go that way too. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. I don't have any other blue comment cards. Is there anybody else from the public who would like to make a comment at this time before we close the hearing on this matter? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, committee reports. Item A, District Advisory Committee, Trustee Boulay.
Nothing to report.
Item B, District English Language Advisory Committee, Trustee Clements.
The next meeting of the DLAC committee will be on April 18th at 6:30 in the Professional Development Center.
Item C, Education Committee, Trustee Pombo.
Nothing to report at this time.
Item D, Facilities Committee. There's nothing to report at this time. Item E, Policy Committee, Trustee Boulay.
Thank you. In your information and discussion items section of this agenda, you'll see the first reading of the updated board policies and administrative regulations that we have been working on.
Item F, Safety Committee, Trustee Pombo.
Yes, on February 13th, we had a dress code subcommittee meeting that met at the high school, and we are finishing up the final details of the revised dress code. On February 15th, we had a safety drill subcommittee. We are also finishing up the planning for the safety drill that will happen at the high school during the spring break. And our next committee meeting is, I have the time, but not the date. It is coming up.
3:45, 5 p.m.
Yeah, March 13th.
13th, yeah, March 13th.
March 13th at 3:45 here in the district office boardroom. That concludes my report.
Thank you. And the Wellness Committee met on Wednesday, February 14th, And staff reported on a lot of success with the counseling programs that involve parents and students working together to correct some challenging behaviors. The Go Guardian Beacon has worked effectively for the district in helping students who may be in distress, and the Healthy Kids Survey was completed, and data should be coming out from that. And Farmers Market will be March 19th through the 21st at all the K-8 school sites. And that concludes my report. Moving on to item 6, governing board reports. Student trustee Vitellani.
Good evening, esteemed board members. I would like to start my updates from Manas High School. So Speech and Debate recently had their YFL 6 competition, and I was able to attend that competition, and we did amazing. We had lots of students place, and we were able to gain a lot of recognition. And we also recently had tryouts for our state qualifiers competition, which is coming up Friday for debate and Saturday for speech, and we wish them the best of luck. And then on February 13th and 14th, we had the NTHS CTE Opportunity Fair. As we know, as students are getting ready to further expand their career, they have lots of competition, and this opportunity fair kind of presented a lot of opportunities for them, and to kind of explore new ways they can enhance their skills for their CTE pathway. For ASB updates, the junior class officers have been working tirelessly for prom, which is scheduled on May 11th, and the prom location is San Francisco City View at Meteron. And a lot of students are really excited as they heard that this view is going to be at like a really high building, and everyone's excited to take pictures and just spend the night. Powder Puff is scheduled to take place on March 21st, and the practices will be held 18th, 19th, and the 20th. And I'm personally really excited, and all the participants are, as we kind of see a new stereotype where the girls are playing and the boys are cheering. For sporting updates, one athletic from our girls wrestling team is going to state championships this week, placing 3rd in Masters, and congratulations to Danica Sudseda for your hard work and for representing your fellow Mustangs. Last week, the boys basketball team hosted a playoff game, and while our season has ended, we would like to say a big congratulations for making it this far and for the many successes they had this season. Similarly, we'd like to congratulate our girls basketball and girls soccer team for making it to sections this year, and well done to everyone. Next, we've had track and field, boys volleyball, and swim tryouts over the past 2 weeks, and our teams are now set and getting ready to start at the beginning of spring season. Winter Sports Awards are being held tonight from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. in the large gym. And lastly, a huge congratulations to our Synergy team for their outstanding performance at the Bay Area competition. They will be going to Nationals in Anaheim next month. For additional high school updates, we have Breaking Down the Walls coming up. I was able to experience this last year as I was a sophomore, and this year I've signed up to be a leader, and I'm really excited to have that same positive impact that my leader had on me last year. So it will be held from February 27th to March 1st. And if any board member would like to come watch the training or attend Breaking Down the Walls, you guys are always welcome. For Safe School Ambassadors, beginning this March, the high school will partner with SSA to provide training to a select group of student leaders who have been chosen by their peers for peer mediation and conflict resolution on our campus. And this group's main focus is to make sure that everyone is feeling supported, whether it's friends or colleagues, with peer assistance to ensure that everyone can learn safely at school. We also had the SJCOE STEAM Fair, which was on February 10th, and Mountain House High School students took home multiple winning medals as they participated. And this event basically just inspires and empowers all of the students to be innovative, creative, and determined makers in science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And lastly, I would like to just give a shout out to the Mountain House High School counselors. Students were inputting their selection for the upcoming school years, and the counselor team has done a wonderful job addressing all the questions. I know I was asking a lot, but they did a great job. And for middle and elementary schools, just a huge congratulations to Cuesta's varsity basketball team for winning the basketball championship game. And that concludes my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Trustee Boulay.
Thank you. On February 9th, I attended a new tradition at Mountain House High School. It's the National Day of Signing, in which students that are have accepted to play sports at our senior students who have been accepted to play sports at a college next year sign their letter of intent. And so this year we had one student participate, so it was a very, very special night for her. And congratulations to Renee Nunn, who is our athletic director and who likely spearheaded this, but I think it's a great addition to our traditions. Also, congratulations to Sophia Ramos. She is our senior who will be attending Illinois Institute of Technology, playing soccer, and also studying architecture. On the 14th, I attended the Mountain House Community Service District meeting and gave them an update on things that are happening in the school district. And then last night, I attended Altamont's DARE graduation for their 5th grade students. And as always, that's a great evening with lots of energy and some great entertainment. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Trustee Clemens.
Very really briefly, I did manage to attend the finals of both divisions of elementary school basketball championships at the high school my days are getting mixed up on me. I think it was last Friday, but I'm not 100% sure. But anyway, it was fun to be able to attend that event, and man, they were very competitive. At both age groups were very competitive. Anyway, that's the end of my report.
Thank you, Trustee Clemens. Trustee Pombo.
Yes, on February 9th, I too attended the signing day, and as Trustee Boulay mentioned, we only had one student there, although I'm sure we have many more students who are committed to play sports at various colleges. Only one chose to participate in the signing day event. So Sophia Ramos got all the spotlight to herself that evening, and it was fun to attend. I look forward to future events when we have more students involved. On February 13th, I attended the fentanyl presentation for 7th and 8th graders at Bethany Elementary, and it's an impactful presentation. I think it's good for our kids to understand the dangers of fentanyl. You can't listen to a news report these days without somebody hearing of someone who's died from fentanyl, and awareness is key because there's no way to take illicit drugs safely, and it's becoming more and more unsafe every day. Also on February 13th, I attended the dress code subcommittee that I reported on earlier. On the 15th, I attended the safety drill subcommittee that I reported on earlier. And on February 20th, I also attended the Altamont DARE graduation, and I too enjoy the energy and entertainment that the kids, as well as Officer Abercrombie, put together. He's been getting quite emotional at the DARE graduations this year because it's his final year of doing them, and he has had over 75,000 students in his DARE program over the years, so quite an accomplishment for him. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Trustee Pombo. On February 14th, as mentioned previously, I attended the Wellness Committee meeting, and on February 20th, I attended the DARE graduation, and I concur with Trustee Pombo. It's always one of my favorite things. I love the songs the students compose about staying drug-free and alcohol-free, and didn't get a Rickroll this time, but we got Taylor Swift, and it was really wonderful. But I also have a immense appreciation for Officer Abercrombie, and he's not. I've heard his speech at every DARE graduation, and he still manages to bring tears to my eyes each time. I don't know how he does that, but congratulations to all of our 5th grade DARE graduates. And I just wanted to conclude by saying how much I appreciate the work that Coach Carr has done for our high school, and he will be immensely missed. But I wish him the best, and know wherever he goes, he will be doing great things. But the work he did here was very, very much appreciated. And that concludes my report. Item 7, receiving of public comments. I don't have any comment cards. Was there any member of the public that would like to make a comment at this time? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, consent items for consideration. Item A, the governing board meeting minutes from the special meeting on January 29th, 2024, and the regular meeting on February 7th, 2024. Contracts under $50,000. One contract with the Department of Toxic Substances Control for $39,796, and one with Discovery Ranch for $28,875. Item C, ratification of certificated and classified personnel actions. Item D, updated 2023-2024 fundraisers. Item E, ratification of budget revisions and warrant lists for January 2024. Item F, approval of early high school graduation or reduction of graduation requirements petition for one student, number 23-2402GR. And item G, acceptance of donation, $23.95 from Sanjita Rantala towards the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress Rally at Altamont Elementary School, and $2,250 for 54 MBA Math Hoops board games from Learn Fresh Education Company to the Education Services Department for the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program. Does any member of the board wish to pull an item or discuss an item?
Move to approve consent items.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. And moving on to item 9, district administrative reports.
Yeah, I just have one item. I was asked by the board to look into whether or not inter and intra-district approvals could be put into consent, and we looked into it, and the answer is we can. So I'm reporting back that I looked into it. If it's the board's consensus, we can move forward and move that into consent at the next board meeting, or if you'd like it to be a more formal direction, we can bring it back as you have formally given me direction. But we can do it if it's the board's pleasure.
I don't see any reason not to have it as a consent item. We never have discussion about it. It's always just a motion and it passes, so.
And anytime we do have a question about it, we can always pull it. So I'm fine
Correct.
if it goes into consent.
I'm fine as well. Trustee Clements?
I stand solidly against it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yes. I believe you have your direction, Dr. Nicholas.
Thank you, ma'am, and that is my presentation.
And item B, district maintenance and operations report. Mr. LeGrand.
Good evening, thanks for having me. First up, I have the operations report from Director Dixon. Staffing, we've hired a person for the warehouse position. We still have 3 custodial openings, and they have QR code stickers and signs printed for the sites that send people to the facilities website for facilities issues. So that'll be coming soon to the sites. For maintenance, we now have a 3rd EPIC intern from the high school. I was contacted about a site. There was a young man interested. I interviewed him. Seems like a nice young man. We brought him out a couple weeks ago. And now we have 3 people. We still have them on Thursdays all day. It wasn't working out logistically. We were mowing Costa on Thursday and the high school Wednesday. We just flip-flopped those. The kids, it makes it easier to pick up the kids in the morning, and they have to go back to campus for lunch. So Thursday will be at the high school all day, the grounds department with the 3 EPIC interns. So that works out better for us. The pool, the autofill valve, the new one's not here yet. So we're having to manually check the water every couple days and manually fill it till that gets fixed. I received some disappointing news this morning about the boiler at the high school. You may recall that we had a pretty significant leak outside the boiler room in the quad area several years ago. At that time, when it was leaking, we put a water valve in to monitor the water in the system. The boiler is a closed loop system. It shouldn't be losing any water at all. Today, we went over there and closed the 3 valves, and the system's slowly losing pressure. So there's a tiny leak somewhere in the system. We checked all the vaults. There's no standing water in any of them, so we're going to have to bring out a company that does leak detection and try and find it. I don't know where it's at, but that was today. I just found it out a few hours ago. On Friday the 9th, Keenan did a follow-up audit on their annual property and liability inspections for the district. There were no findings, so that's good news. On Monday the 5th, I had a meeting with the principal and athletic director at the high school to talk about facilities issues. And those meetings go well. Our next meeting is on Monday the 4th. The new classroom building at the high school. Today, we received a temporary preliminary logistics plan for the high school. Kind of hard to see, but this is the C building up top. This is the new building here. The laydown yard will be on the basketball courts. I can pass around if you guys want to see it. Sure. Is that cool? There you go. Thank you. So that's exciting news. That project continues to move forward. The Mountain House pool gates and sidewalk, you recall we put the 2 gates in at the high school, one by the snack bar, one over by the H building. The panic hardware came in this week. The contractor was out here today installing it, so that project is done. You can close that one out, so good news. The Cuesta Montessori and the Bethany playgrounds, we were talking about the poor quality condition of the pour in place project. A decision was made to put an all new pour in place at the Cuesta Montessori and put the turf over the 2 playground areas at Bethany. I believe it's in the board packet tonight for you guys' approval. So if that is approved, we will do that work this summer. The site trip hazards, we call, that's why we brought a company in to do trip hazards surveys. Thank you to Thor and Gloria. They're able to find some money to start the project this year. I'm working with the vendor to get most extreme areas first, and that work will be scheduled during spring break. So next month. The windscreens at the high school, we talked about the poor quality of windscreens at the tennis courts and the pool. It went to the facilities meeting earlier this month. I believe it's in the board packet tonight for approval. Once that's approved, we'll order them tomorrow and get those in as soon as possible. I'm still working with the preschool folks at Wickland. They want to do a play area to the south of their portable with turf and some small play structures. There's still some issue with the trees and the tree roots. We have a price to remove the trees. The decision is now, are they our trees, or I'm working with CS, they're our trees or CSC trees. Don't want to take them out if they're theirs without their approval, so I'm doing that. I reached out to them yesterday. I haven't heard back yet, but we'll get that resolved. And then staffing update for us. The last candidate we tried to hire didn't work out, so we interviewed again on the 8th this month, and we have another new candidate going through the hiring process now, and hopefully get them on the board as soon as possible. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Moving on to item 10, action items. Item A, consider approval of worksite agreement with the Chef Ann Foundation. Staff report?
Yes, this is a pretty good deal for the district. It's a free professional development with the target audience of our food service workers. We strongly recommend this. It's based on a grant from the Chef Ann Foundation.
Move to approve worksite agreement with Chef Ann Foundation.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item B, consider approval of public disclosure form AB 1200 of collective bargaining agreement for classified and management groups. Staff report?
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank the district bargaining team with Associate Superintendent Harrison, Assistant Superintendent Grijalva, and Director Barrios for their efforts, along with the leadership of CSEA and Jenny Clements and her team. This kind of completes the circle of our negotiation, and that's what this AB 1200 is. We also had a manager who's salary schedule was out of balance, so we cleaned that up as well. But AB 1200 is our formal statement. We can afford this. So we thank all the parties who participated, and we strongly recommend approval.
Move to approve public disclosure form AB 1200 of collective bargaining agreement for classified management groups.
Second.
Trustee Pombo. Based on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Poulet, no, Pombo. Student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item C, consider approval of 2024-2025 job share proposals for certificated employees, Mia Hicks and Stephanie Martin. Staff report?
Yeah, it's kind of neat that every year we have a standard bearer, a partnership who come here to the district and to the board and say that we have performed excellently in a job share proposal. Please approve us for another year. And I look out there and I see Mia and I think, she taught my daughter when she was in the 1st grade and now she's halfway through her freshman year and she looks exactly the way she did when I met her. I am withering on the vine. But this is really 2 exceptional individuals who help our kids, and we strongly represent or recommend the job share proposal.
I will gladly move to approve the 24-25 job share proposal for certificate employees, Mia Hicks and Stephanie Martin.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. And I can just say I always look forward to your presentations every year. As a new teacher, I might take a few things from them and put into my practice. Thank you so much.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would just like to say that I always appreciate the thoroughness of your presentation to the board. I also always enjoy visiting your classroom, regardless of whether it's one or the other of you, or occasionally it's been both. I always enjoy that classroom, and I think the kids get the benefit of 2 excellent teachers.
Item D, consider approval of Governing Board Resolution number 23-24-10, reducing/laying off classified employee services for the 2024-2025 school year due to lack of work and/or lack of funds. Staff report?
Yes, so with HR comes HR processes. Director Barrios is the grand dam of the processes of HR, and she's responsible for making sure that this works. She works in partnership with the affected individuals, but this is ELOP. We roll it out for the first time. We're learning as we go. The breakfast was very poorly attended, and we've repurposed the need for that staff. And as a result, it shifted people's work. And so we have to go through this process, and we recommend approval and thank HR and their team and the folks from CSEA are working with us so we can work this out.
Move to approve Governing Board Resolution 232410, reducing laying off classified employee services for the 2024-2025 school year due to lack of work and/or lack of funds.
I will second, and I as a comment, hate to see people impacted, but if we offer a program and it's not fully utilized or not enough utilized, then you've got to make a decision and move those resources to something that is going to be utilized. And so with my sincere apologies to anyone that is impacted and then can't shift, unfortunately, we have to make some tough decisions sometimes, so my apologies.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote.
Aye.
And I believe this requires a roll call.
Lisa Boulay.
Aye.
Colin Clements.
Aye.
Anita Daniel.
Absent.
Stephanie Olson.
Aye.
David Pombo.
Aye.
All right. The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Moving on to item E. Consider approval of the Architectural Services Agreement Amendment for additional services number 2 with Nichols, Melberg, and Rosetto for the Mountain House High School Southfield project funded through Measure L. Staff report?
Yes. So we've been calling this project the 19 acres, but Mr. King from NMR may have coined the title of what the field will be. We'll see how it turns out. But Mountain House High School South Field kind of rings kind of a neat way, better than the 19 acres. So this is the architect and the services we get with them to put in approximately 6 acres, which will serve the purpose of fields on the Mountain House High School South Field, aka 19 acres.
Move to approve the architectural services agreement amendment for additional services number 2 with Nichols, Melbourne, Melberg, and Rosetto for the Mountain House High School Southfield project funded through Measure L.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Moving on to item F. Consider approval of facilities usage fees for facility improvements. Total cost $34,373.45. Staff report?
Yes, part of the process created by the board and its subcommittee on facilities is the ability to have staff present to the subcommittee for review needs and uses and expenditures out of the funds that are collected from the facilities use. These are 5 items that went through that process for approval, and now it goes to the full board, and it's recommended all these items be approved.
Move to approve of facilities use fees for the facility improvements. Total cost $34,373.45.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Moving on to item G. Consider approval of contract with KYA Services LLC for turf over existing pour-in-place at the Bethany Elementary School's kinder and primary playground. Total cost $96,459.71. Staff report?
Yes, for items G and H, our team in DMOT, Director LeGrand, Associate Superintendent Harrison, seems like a lot of money, but it's a massive cost savings. The cost for play equipment is astronomical. On G, this will allow us to put turf over the existing, though not attractive anymore, soft, gushy stuff, and we recommend approval.
Point of clarification: the soft, gushy stuff, that's the PIP, the pour and play stuff.
Yes.
Like that rubber
Yes.
stuff. Okay, thank you.
Move to approve contract with KYA Services LLC for turf over existing pour-in-place at the Bethany Elementary School kinder and primary playground. Total cost $96,459.71. And I will say that I toured Bethany a few months ago, and after touring Bethany, I was really hoping that a action item like this would come forward. It's time. So yes. Thank you.
And I'll second.
Based on a motion by trustee Clements and seconded by trustee Boulay, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item H, consider approval of contract with KYA Services LLC for new pour-in-place at Cuesta Elementary School's preschool playground. Total cost $51,357.67.
Move to approve contract with KYA Service LLC for a new pour-in-place at Cuesta Elementary School preschool playground at a total cost of $51,357.67.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Moving on to item I, consider approval of LUSD TK through 8 High School Expanded Learning Opportunity Program and Extended School Year, Summer School 2024. Staff report?
Yes, we'll have Associate Superintendent Harrison can answer any specific questions, but this is really the district's investment in our summer school program. It needs to be noted, and since Mountain House Matters is here, This district has invested in summer school historically, which is not a have to. There's no strings attached. This is a commitment that this board and previous boards has made to the students who need additional assistance. We strongly recommend this, and it supports our students' needs.
Move to approve LUSD TK through 8 High School Expanded Learning Opportunity Program and Extended School Year Summer School 2024.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent.
And I would just like to say that I'm very proud of this board and this district for investing in the needs of our students, and this is just one of the ways we do that.
Agreed. Moving on to item J, consider approval of second reading and adoption of the 2024-2025 LUSD Wellness Plan. Staff report?
Yes, this is the second reading of the wellness plan. Thank you to the board members and for all the individuals who serve on the wellness committee, and we recommend approval.
I move to approve the second reading and adoption of the 2024-2025 LUSD Wellness Plan. And I want to add that I'm glad that we focus on our staff as well as our students in terms of our wellness program, because I think having a healthy staff is just as important as having healthy students.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Boulay and seconded by trustee Pombo, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item K, consider approval of second reading and adoption of the LUSD Safe Schools Plan and School Site Safety Plans for the 2024-2025 school year. Staff report?
Yes, safety is an evolving endeavor. It requires diligence. The safety committee and our school sites take it very seriously, and we recommend these plans for approval.
Go ahead.
Move to approve of second reading and adoption of the LUSD Safe Schools Plan and School Site Safety Plans for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item L, consider approval of vote on the 2024 ballot for CSBA Delegate Assembly Region 8A. Staff report?
Yes, we have a CSBA delegate here amongst us, the Honorable Mr. David Pombo. The board has an opportunity to vote for 1, 2, or 3 of these individuals. I believe 1 is from Lincoln Unified, 1 is from Escalon Unified, and 1 is from Stockton Unified. What we're being asked to do here is to have a vote and then submit that.
And I have worked with all 3 of these individuals, and I see no reason not to vote for all 3 of them to remain in their current position.
Any other thought? Or?
And with that, I will move to approve to vote on all 3 incumbents for the 2024 CSBA Delegate Ballot Assembly Region 8A.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements, student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes, no noes, and 1 absent. Item 11, information and discussion items. Item A, block schedule pilot, year 2 presentation. Staff report.
Yes, we're going to call some folks up here to give a presentation, in particular Associate Superintendent Harrison. But I did want to say that in a time where education has got lots of distractions and lots of things flying at it, and our district is not exempt from that. We are negotiating with multiple developers. We're transitioning to voting areas. There's lots going on from Sacramento. They haven't met a new idea they don't want us to apply. Our team at the district and at the sites are working on great ideas for our kids. We are really excited about this block schedule, and we want to thank the leaders and the teachers who are here who are going to present for you. That we think we found a solve we've been looking for over a decade. Mr. Harrison.
Good evening, Board President Olson, trustees, Dr. Nicholas, thanks for having me tonight. So tonight we're going to have our second installment of the block schedule for 7th and 8th grade students. As you are aware, Bethany Elementary School had the courage and the foresight to run a pilot this school year for block period with 7th and 8th grade students. Now, before I get into the nitty-gritty of this, the one thing that we really need to recognize is the hard work of the teachers that did all this work right here behind me, and some of them, maybe Mr. Hall, will come up at the end of the presentation and give some anecdotal information of what occurred during this school year. It's still a work in progress. Obviously, we have the rest of the school year to go, but our preliminary anecdotal data and some of our data is showing that the block period is working very well for our students and for our teachers. Hence, the addition of Altamont and Cordis Elementary here for the pilot for year 2. So why block period? The first and foremost, equity. There's extra time for reteaching. There's additional time for small groups. There is a reorg of time that allows intervention to be done more efficiently. Music and other electives, there are multiple opportunities for those electives for our kids. And then one of the byproducts is teacher collaboration time and common prep time. So the benefits, as I talked about, is traditionally we had a shorter span of time with students in class for the core academic areas. With a block period, you have a longer span of time, not giving up any major amount of time in the class for specific core academic areas. And then there's an efficiency of time. You don't have kids rotating around from English to social science to math. You have them in the classroom working for longer periods of time. So one of the things that we did midway through the school year to assess where we are with block period is we convened the Professional Growth Committee, which is a committee that's run by Sarah Barrios, our Director of HR. We had meetings on November 29th, December 20th, and January 22nd. We had representation from Altamont, Bethany, Hanson, Cordis, Cuesta, and LTA president attended a couple of the meetings. So what was the information shared? Well, some of that you're going to get anecdotally here from the teachers. We discussed logistics, instructional time, how PE worked, how music worked, the benefits and challenges, the unforeseen advantages. Some of that you're going to hear from some of the teachers here. Anecdotal student outcomes, like how were our 20% affected by block period? And as everybody knows in this room, 20% is one of our goals this year, addressing our 20% who are not meeting standard. And I think you're going to hear that some of the attendance got better, the DF rates got better, teacher collaboration got better, and the focus on those students was improved. So more learning opportunities. So what happened at Bethany is they had Bobcat Boost, and then moving forward, we're going to have On the Prowl. We're going to have What I Need When. We're having all these cool, anecdotes on how to, make it sound cool to go and get extra time for learning, right? Multiple electives are available, Tier 2 interventions, Genius Hours, etc. We get additional math time for accelerated math students. There's a number of benefits. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the principal of Bethany, Ms. Ritchie, come up and talk about her schedule. She presented her schedule to you last year when we started the year 1 pilot, and there's been just a couple of minor tweaks that they figured out work better for the school site. And so she'll talk about her schedule, and then we're going to have the 2 future pilot schools talk about their schedule. And then Ms. Ritchie's going to come back up here. She's hiding behind me. Come back up here and talk about some data that she has up to this date in the school year.
She doesn't exactly have to hide.
I wore my tall shoes today. Okay. All right. So in collaboration with our amazing teachers who have been living the block schedule every day, we've made a few adjustments going into the next school year. And one of the main things that we're going to adjust is instead of 1 boost, which is our Tier 2 intervention or additional electives, we're going to have 2 opportunities for those boost support. We're seeing a lot of our students who may be struggling in ELA, they're also struggling in math. And so we're giving them 2 opportunities to be in math and ELA or science, or if we have history support, or for test retakes. This additionally gives our students opportunities to have 3 electives. Right now, they can have 2 electives. They have the traditional elective time, which we have a little different this year. We have it right after lunch, and then they have 1 boost opportunity where they can take an elective, or if they need that extra support, they're in boost ELA, math, or science. So next year, we're going to divide that into 2 boost periods, and students are going to have opportunities for 3 electives or multiple support intervention time. And this is just a sample of our student schedule, where the students will have A days and B days. In the afternoons, they'll have PE, or they'll have boost, and at the end of the day, they'll have electives. We have our Mondays is a traditional day where they see every teacher that day, and Fridays is a B day because of there's typically four holidays on Mondays, and that interrupts time in classes, so that's why we moved those classes to Mondays. All right, Cordis.
Good evening. Our take on electives is we're going to do ours in the morning. So if you look at Bethany's schedule, it just flops. So our block periods are after morning recess. Our typical, again, following the structure on Monday, seeing everybody. But on the first 3 periods of the day, we have elective, we have various things. We want to make sure every student, 7th and 8th grade gets PE, gets an elective, and intervention if needed, or on the prowl, what we call on the prowl, because we're cheetahs. So it's a as needed basis, right? So when a student isn't quite meeting the bar, this is our attempt to do that. And so it'll be an evolving process where students that need 2 will get 2, but they still get an elective. We still want them to have the elective, because sometimes that elective is what really drives our students. But what's really exciting is the music aspect. We'll have 3 sections of music in the morning. So band, choir, and orchestra, which is really, really exciting. So we're going to get our quote-unquote fun stuff, intervention in the morning, and then the afternoon, or from recess in the morning to the afternoon, is our block schedule. On Friday, the only caveat is, how do you go forward, this way? All right, on Friday, because we get out at 1:30, we can't have period 4, so we're going to put that on in the morning, so that students will get used to it just like this. But if you don't notice that period 4 on Wednesday is at the end of the day, but on Friday in the morning. But we don't have elective on Fridays as it is anyway, so it works out just beautifully. But we still have time for PE, we still have time for on the prowl and all those things. So we're excited. We're going to learn from Bethany, and we're going to bring block schedule to Cordis. So we're excited. Next is Altamont.
Thank you guys for hearing us out about the potential of this. My teachers were so excited when I brought the idea to them that when they came to the professional growth committee meeting in December, they asked if we could start when we returned from winter break. But Mr. Harrison was like, no, slow down, which is good. Luckily also, Ms. Ritchie and the teachers at Bethany had, really experimented with the whole block schedule, and so we were able to take their schedule, and we also reversed it. But what you'll notice is that our elective block is in the morning as well, but not at the same time as Cordis Elementary School. It is period 1, or let me call it period A, B, and C, and so there'll be music in each of those 3 blocks, and we'll be able to coordinate the music teachers very well according to that schedule. So on Mondays, students will go to either WIN, the What I Need time, or an elective, and PE. And then from 9:40 to 10:25, all students will participate in an elective. They'll go to recess, and when they come back from recess, they'll spend a 50-minute period in period 1 and 2, go to lunch, go back for periods 3 and 4, and finish the day with advisory. That's when we do grade checks, fill out our paper planners. I'm a big proponent of that, and I still make every teacher stamp them every day, and that gives them that dedicated time for that. So that's what Mondays will look like. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they will start their days each day with WIN or an elective and PE. And then same thing from 8:40 to 10:25, they'll have an additional elective or their first elective. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, they'll go to period 1 and 2 and then finish the day with advisory. On Wednesdays, they'll go to periods 3 and 4 and finish the day with advisory. And then on Friday, they'll start the day with success. That can be like a test retake, an additional reteach, time to finish any missing assignments, whatever they may need to be successful and finish out that week strong. Then they'll go to period 3, recess, period 4, lunch, and then they'll finish their day from 1 to 1:30 with their social emotional learning, which we use second step at Altamont.
So one of the great things about doing what I do with educators is that when you get a lot of smart people in a room, you can sit back and listen to their great ideas and go like this and then put it in a puzzle and say, what do you think? And then all these super smart people behind us, they make decisions based on what's good for kids. And I think what you'll see here with these schedules is it's good for kids. And what you're seeing is there's a kind of a flip-flop with the schedules, right? So we have electives on one side, core on the other, and then they're flipped. Once we establish that in our district, we'll be able to drop different classes into the schedules because we'll be able to hire people full-time to move around and deliver electives that might be a little more, things like Spanish, things of that nature, things that are a little more driven by their credential, right? So that's down the road. And as you can tell, some people want to go super fast, but we always take the tortoise approach. Right? We're going to do it slow and concise and make sure it's right. So with that, she's not slow and concise. She's very fast and concise. Miss Ritchie's going to talk about some of the data for her school site. And then we'll ask a couple of the teachers to come up and give you some anecdotal information.
All right, so just to share, this is where we are to date. So we've taken the MAP reading and math assessments in 7th and 8th grade, and we've also given students the MAP screener. At first trimester, the data from the fall map wasn't really relevant anymore, so we gave students the MAP screener to see if they still needed boost support into trimester 2. This data is based on fall map and winter map, which winter map just took place in January. When we started the school year, we had 19.5% of our 7th and 8th grade students below the 40th percentile in reading. We added students to our Boost intervention. We provided Lexia support, which is a reading program for our middle school students. And we were able to reduce that percentage to 16.5%. By the time we get to spring map, we're hoping that number is even smaller. For math, we had 23.5% of our students below the 40th percentile in fall map. In winter map, we had 17.5%. So we see that we've made great gains. Teachers have been using FMI. They've been using games to help students gain understanding of the concepts and make progress. This is just an example of some of our students who have made incredible progress this year. If you notice, this is MAP scores, and you can see each little circle at the bottom is a student's MAP score. So the student in the upper left corner has taken MAP 8 times, 9 times. And typically over time in each of the grade levels, they've been in red. After the first trimester and a half in the block schedule, this student made 99th percentile of growth for this between fall and winter, and they're in the orange now. We see another student in reading as well. Consistently, they were well below grade level in the orange, and they made growth as well and are right there on the green. We can see the same with another winter map and a 7th grade student as well. We're seeing this a lot for our students who historically have struggled in reading and math, that with this targeted not just the boost intervention, but giving them more time in a class, giving them more exposure to the lessons, not ending a lesson because the period's over. They get more support from the teachers and they get more opportunities for learning. Just some of our boost numbers. At the start in trimester 1, we had 28 students in 7th and 8th grade in a reading boost intervention. In trimester 2, we had 24. Really, it was 14, but we had 10 students who appreciated the time to continue to learn and continue to get that support. So we had 10 who were basically in like a study hall. For math, we had 25 students who were in Math Boost, and in trimester 2, we had 8. Students made huge growth. This also is, if you had a student who's taken MAP before or have talked to a student who's taken MAP, it can be a little tedious, and sometimes students don't take it seriously. Our 7th and 8th graders know now that if they want to have additional electives, they need to show what they actually know and not just rush through it and guess. And that has encouraged them as well to show that they are gaining mastery towards the standards.
So I'd just like to hear, let you hear some of, from the horse's mouth, so to speak, one of our teachers.
Oh, thanks. Well, let me caveat this with I was the ultimate naysayer in this when I heard this news that we would be going to a block schedule. But I think what we're all seeing is opportunity, not only for kids, obviously, but opportunities for each other. As a group of teachers, we've really grown together instead of being our own separate entities. We've learned to work together, to support each other, to work through some crazy scheduling. But before we came, I looked at what's coming up for Boost and things like that, and I can actually see for the first time so much progress that we've made. And I'm not the ultimate naysayer anymore. There you go.
Yeah, so just kind of with what Ms. Ritchie had said about the MAP data, like this is truly the first year, and this is my 6th year teaching, that 7th and 8th graders are concerned and like taking these MAP tests seriously and wanting to not just do well but do better than they did before. So asking what they got on the previous one and asking what they need to get out of Boost. In addition to that though, just having the extra longer class periods as a teacher, I feel like I know my students a lot more and can kind of see the gaps that they may need to be filled. I'm big on rapport, so just being able to just have that extra time. And it's also with the extra time, it's like more opportunities as a teacher. I'm like, oh, I can actually extend and go beyond and get deeper instead of just barely having time to teach the textbook lesson and getting them on their way. I can actually be creative with how I'm coming across and making cool activities and lessons within my classroom. So I've really enjoyed it. I'm a big fan.
If you were willing.
Okay, so I'm in charge of teaching 7th and 8th grade math, and last year with 45 minutes to 50 minutes class, it's just rushing, and I like to use a lot of thin slicing and have I call it a mild, medium, spicy type of questions. And last year, after mild, in the middle of medium, I have to stop everything. But this year, I have the opportunity, and he said, Mrs. S, I want the spicy one. Give me the spicy one. So that timing gave me to, have the more challenging question to the kids. And one other advantage is that for the first time, I have the whole Agenuity class. And it's not just them sitting behind the computer for almost 2 hours. We have break time, and I have a lot of challenging math games that they can take a break and do that. And I'm giving challenging questions like some of SAT problems or ACT problems or brain teasers, and they love it. And they said, to be honest with you, they say, Agenuity is kind of boring for us, but you make this class so fun. So that's my experience.
All right, so to wrap this up, none of this block schedule change, this plan is done without courageous teachers and courageous leaders, the people sitting behind us. They're doing a great job. You know, teachers opening their minds and opening their eyes and saying, yeah, I'll try it, let's do it. And you know what, it's working out pretty well. So we will have another report at the end of the school year with some more data. And then moving forward, we'll keep giving you updates on the pilot as it moves forward. And any questions?
I don't have any questions, just some comments. I'm very excited by the block schedule and the implementation of it. I especially like the fact that all the kids get a chance at the
electives.
Thank you. I knew it was a word. That all the kids get a chance at the electives and that they are encouraged to do well if they want more electives. I was, especially in grammar school, I was one of the students who went to school for electives and lunch and sports. And so if I had that carrot there to encourage me to do better in my other classes so that I could have more electives, I think it would have been a good thing. Thank you all.
I just wanted to say thank you to the teachers, especially the naysayers, for agreeing to give it a chance. Because when you started this, when you started this, right answer, wrong answer, it doesn't matter. If the teachers would have said it's the wrong answer and we're not going to play along, it wouldn't have worked. So thank you so much for, keeping an open mind, being excited about it, and being the guinea pigs. But also thank you to district staff for not letting it go too fast. Because even a pilot program that's rolled out, knee-jerk reaction, hey, this is great, it's exciting, too fast, you have the same problem. I remember when I first got on the board, I got comments about why we moved to electronic textbooks, right? I walked to school barefoot, uphill in the snow, uphill both ways, why are we doing this? This is crazy. It is the right answer. And I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I think this is fantastic. I loved it when it was presented before. So thank you very much. I'm really excited. Don't go too fast.
And I just wanted to add that I really appreciated the comments from the teachers about how they grew closer together as a team, because that's so impactful on student outcomes. I think we saw that in the MAP data, which and just the fact that students are taking a role in their growth, which is really the goal of it all, and that's going to carry them far in their educational journey and thereafter. So I'm excited what we're hearing and can't wait to hear more now.
And I'm excited about those numbers. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves, but I think, so congratulations on all those numbers and all those kids who worked really hard and are finding their way to more electives. But I feel like the qualitative piece is important too. And so that's the anecdotes from the teachers and the things that you can't necessarily pinpoint, but I think just as important. So thank you. Great job.
Yeah. I mean, really, the socially emotional element to that wasn't really tapped into tonight or talked about a lot, but I'm getting the feeling that it's making a difference on the students' social and emotional well-being as well. Yeah.
Yes. And we have trapped SEL time.
Yeah, that's great.
So, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I also like in Altamont's their proposed agenda for next year, how they have success and how they've labeled it success, because as they go to the high school, the kids go to the high school, there's that success period. So there's really a nice transition and hopefully will provide a little comfort for those kids that they already know something as they go into high school.
Yes.
I just had a quick question. So I know this block schedule idea was introduced to the high school like 2 years back. And no big change comes with a lot of like concerns from the students, and there's still complaints about how like the periods are too long. And I personally wasn't aware of like how many positive effects this is having on the students. So I was wondering if it would be possible to like let the students know that, hey, like we're seeing this positive impact, because I know like personally I wasn't aware of this. I still was confused why we had the block schedule, and seeing this tonight really like made me aware of that. Oh wow, like this is a really impactful thing. So I just want to put that out there, if it's possible to let the students know how much this will positively affect them.
Yes, and I know the teachers do that regularly. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to do some survey data at the end as well, which will help us as well anecdotally. So, you bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item B, first reading of updated board policies and administrative regulations. Staff report.
Yes, this is the latest tranche of BPARs. If the board has any questions, we'll happily take them down, or they can send me individual emails. If not, we'll roll this forward and at the next meeting do the second reading.
All right. Any discussion or comment? Seeing none. We'll move on to item C, first reading of the English Learner Master Plan.
Kind of the same thing. We have an EL master plan. This is the first reading. If the board has any questions, or if not, they can email me and I will distribute that to the appropriate staff.
All right. Looks like there's no questions to discuss, so we'll move on to item 12, calendar. Item A, Wednesday, March 6, 2024 is the next governing board meeting at 7 p.m. in the district office boardroom. Item B, Monday, March 11th, 2024 is the San Joaquin County Committee meeting at 6 p.m. in the district office boardroom. Item C, Wednesday, March 13th, 2024 is the Safety Committee meeting at 3:45 p.m. in the district office boardroom. And item D, Wednesday, March 27th, 2024 is the LUSD safety drill, 7:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Mountain House High School. In a moment, we will adjourn to closed session where we will discuss the following items. Item A, Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Complaint, Government Code Section 54957. Item B, Conference with Real Property Negotiators, Government Code Section 54956-8. And item C, Conference with Legal Counsel, Anticipated Litigation, Significant Exposure to Litigation pursuant to paragraph 2 of subdivision D of Section 54956.9 of the Government Code. One case, letter from attorney Scott Rafferty attached.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Based on a motion by trustee Pombo and seconded by trustee Clements. Student trustee preferential vote?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The motion passes with 4 ayes and no noes. We are adjourned to closed session at 8:32 p.m.